CEO never smiled for 20 years until a secretary's song changed everything at midnight. In the clamorous heart of New York City, a place where dreams flickered like neon signs, there stood the titan of industry, Harvey Klein. His cold reputation loomed over the skyscraper. He commanded a fortress of steel and glass where joy was a distant memory. For 2 long decades, he had ruled with an iron fist, his face as expressionless as the stone statues outside his corporate lair. This was a man who hadn't smiled in 20 years, a man whose laughter had withered away into the dusty corners of time. Employees whispered their fears in hushed tones, tiptoeing around his severe gaze, dread thick in the air. The mystery of Harvey's perpetual frown was a chilling specter that haunted the office, making each day feel like a silent war. But what truly gripped the hearts of the employees was the odd phenomenon that unfolded every midnight. The clock struck 12, echoing down the dim, deserted halls, and a soft, haunting melody would weave through the empty spaces. It was a song of phantom tune that seemed to hover in the air, drawing every ear towards its enigma. No one ever figured out where it came from. Some claimed it was the spirit of an old secretary who vanished without a trace, her sorrow echoing through the corridors. Others swore it was a warning, a sound coaxed forth by the building's very foundations, a siren's call enraging the heart of the corporate beast. As the clock dragged closer to midnight one fateful night, anticipation crackled through the office like an electric charge. Those who stayed late often found themselves frozen in their seats, waiting for the mystery to unfold. The hum of the city outside faded away, leaving only the sound of their quickened breaths. Eyes flicked nervously toward the doors, half expecting some unearthly figure to emerge. And then, as the hour chimed, the melody began, a soft, enchanting rhythm that seemed to rise up from the very bowels of the building. It wrapped around them, lifting spirits and tension. But tonight was different. Tonight, something felt alive. Hey, before we continue with this amazing story, I need to give you an important heads up. Many subscribers have reported that YouTube unsubscribed them without warning. Take a quick second to check the red button below to make sure you're still subscribed to the channel. I'd hate for you to miss any of the exclusive content coming soon. And while you're there, smash that like button, it really helps me out with the algorithm. Oh, and tell me in the comments, which city are you watching from? I love getting to know every amazing person who's part of this community. Your participation makes all the difference. Let's connect. As the euphoric notes danced through the air, the employees collectively held their breath, their hearts thrumming wildly against their rib cages. Suddenly, the door to the executive suite swung open with a creak that sent shivers down their spines. They peered in, lips parted in disbelief as they saw Harvey Klein standing there, just at the threshold, rigid as a statue but with a flicker of curiosity sparking in his eyes. Was it possible? Had the song finally reached him? What change might it bring? And as the haunting tune lingered, blending with the tense silence, the question remained, would he finally break his 2-decade-long silence? What magic lay ahead, waiting just beyond that moonlit hour? The air was electric, thick with unspoken words and trembling anticipation. Harvey Klein stood frozen, his usually harsh features softened by the glow of the overhead lights. For once, the glint in his eyes hinted at something more than disdain. The employees held their collective breath, the melody wrapping around them like a warm blanket, igniting a flicker of hope. As the echoes of the haunting song enveloped him, a figure emerged from the haze of darkness behind Klein. It was Amelia, the shy secretary whose ethereal voice had been the source of this nightly enchantment. She stepped forward, her heart racing, the light catching the strands of her hair like a halo in the dim hallway. "Mr. Klein?" Her voice wavered, unsure yet bold in the silence. The employees leaned in, their curiosity pulling them closer, each pulse of the melody urging them on. Harvey blinked at her, startling the audience into hushed silence. His lips twitched, a micro-expression almost lost, like he was wrestling with ghosts of laughter long forgotten. And yet, in that moment, the walls of his fortress seemed to crack. "What do you want?" His voice was gruff but threaded with an undercurrent of vulnerability. Amelia, emboldened by the rare sight of his wavering facade, stepped further into the light. You heard the song. It's a part of us, our struggles, our joys. Maybe it's time for something different. The room swelled with tension. Employees exchanged glances, hearts pounding as they witnessed this unprecedented confrontation. Was this the moment they had all been waiting for? I don't need joy, Klein snapped, closing the door to his emotional world just as quickly as it had begun to open. But Amelia shook her head, her resolve unyielding. No, but you need to feel. You've built all these walls, and for what? You're alone, Mr. Klein. The words hung in the air, sharp and clear. For a heartbeat, the famous Titan's icy mask flickered again. Was that regret or anger brewing beneath the surface? Employees could sense something deeply profound at stake, as though destiny itself teetered on the edge of this moment. A loud bang from the outside rattled the windows, the sudden noise cutting through the heaviness in the room. Klein flinched, a flicker of raw emotion spilling out before he could mask it again. He raked a hand through his hair, visibly unsettled. Could it be that a simple song had cracked a lifetime of stoicism? The melody echoed on, pressing harder against the silence, seemingly insistent that he acknowledge its pull. Amelia's courage surged with the rhythm, electrifying her voice. What if you allowed yourself to just feel? Just for once? The question hung in the air like a sword poised to drop. The employees could hardly breathe, watched as the walls they had believed to be impenetrable began to tremble. Klein's gaze softened further, his hardened expression wavering like a flame caught in a draft. Feel? Yes, she whispered, her voice trembling but filled with tenderness. You might find a world waiting just outside. Suddenly, the lights flickered, the harmonious tune soared, and the echoes seemed to swell, engulfing them all in its embrace. The atmosphere shifted palpably, fear mixed with anticipation as the employees held their breath, waiting for his response, but just as Klein opened his mouth, a loud crash sounded from below. The building rumbled, vibrations pulsing through the floor like a heartbeat. Whispers of fear raced through the room. What had happened? Instinctively, eyes darted to the windows. Outside, shadows danced ominously in the streetlights. Something was out there, something that threatened to intrude upon this moment of change. Stay here. Klein barked, his mask returning as he turned toward the chaos outside, a protector instinctively rising to the surface. I'll see what's going on. But Amelia stepped in front of him, a fierce determination flickering in her eyes. No, we face this together. And as the chorus of uncertainty surged, they moved toward the door, one man long cursed by silence, and one woman unafraid to sing. What awaited them outside was unknown, but one thing was certain, whatever lurked in the shadows would change everything. The employees exchanged glances, hearts racing, as they prepared to follow their leaders into the darkness. What secrets lay ahead, teetering on the brink of revelation? As Amelia and Klein pushed through the door, the cold night air hit them like a slap in the face. Their breaths became visible in the frigid darkness, a stark reminder of the heat radiating from the emotional storm inside. The employees gathered at the entrance, their faces a mix of fear and anticipation, shadows flickering across their features as they strained to peer into the night. The street was eerily quiet, with only the relentless hum of the city echoing in the distance. However, just beyond that dull roar, an unsettling sound broke the stillness, a deep, rumbling growl that sent shivers down Amelia's spine. Anxiety twisted her insides, but she stood her ground, knowing that the moment was here, gripping their destiny like a sword. What was that? Someone dared to mutter from the safety of the building, eyes wide with terror. Klein's steely eyes narrowed, assessing the dark street where uneven silhouettes shifted at the edge of the light. Stay close, he commanded. The authority in his voice was back, but this time it felt different, more protective, more primal. The employees clustered around them, fingers trembling, hearts racing. Amelia felt a surge of bravery as she glanced at Klein, who now seemed more like a wounded warrior than a tyrant. But that warrior needed every ounce of courage to face whatever prowled outside. With heavy footsteps, Klein led the way into the unknown, the others trailing behind as they approached the source of the commotion. Suddenly, the shadows lunged forward. A figure stumbled into the streetlight, panting heavily, eyes wide with fright. It was James, the janitor, his uniform drenched in sweat, face ashen. "They're coming." He wheezed, nearly collapsing at their feet, Klein's brows furrowed. "Who's coming?" They said, "We were all going to pay." "They?" James sputtered, breathing hard as he struggled to continue. He glanced back toward the darkness, panic erupting like wildfire. "I saw them. There are more. We have to get out of here." Just as he spoke, a chorus of guttural growls erupted from the shadows. Shapes emerged, their forms indistinct but menacing, gliding toward them as if the very air around them thickened with malice. Amelia's breath caught in her throat, a lump of dread pooling in her chest. "Everyone, inside!" Klein shouted, his voice cutting through the chaos. Instinctively, he positioned himself to shield Amelia and the others from whatever threat loomed just beyond. But she couldn't move, paralyzed by a blend of fear and fury. "Wait!" Amelia shouted, surprising herself. "They might not be here to hurt us." Klein turned to her, bewilderment crossing his features. "What do you mean?" I can't explain it, but the song, it's not just about us. It's about them too. I need to try." Somehow, a spark ignited within her. Even faced with these shadows, the melody of hope still resonated deep in her bones, a feeling she couldn't extinguish. "Amelia!" Klein's voice was urgent, but she took a step forward, her heart pounding in her ears. "Listen to me!" She cried out to the approaching figures. "We're not your enemies. We can help." The growls intensified. The employees gasped, fear etched into their faces. What had she done? Then suddenly, the shadows halted, growing silent, and a wide circle of light illuminated the faces of those mysterious figures. Amelia's heart raced as she realized they weren't monsters at all. They were people disheveled and desperate, their eyes wild with confusion and despair. But what was their story? The next moment, the silence broke. One of them stepped forward, trembling but staring directly at Amelia with wide eyes filled with longing. We come for the music. We need it too." Every breath stilled. It was an unexpected plea that sent shockwaves through the crowd. What would Amelia do now? Would she share the melody, or would Klein's unyielding protectiveness take the reins again? The tension swelled in the air, electric and heavy, the story teetering on the edge of revelation, waiting to take a turn no one anticipated. Amelia's heart raced. They need the music? The realization washed over her like a cold wave. The desperation in their eyes mirrored her own fears, and yet, amidst the chaos, something began to click. Klein moved closer, tension radiating off him like heat from a campfire. "What do you think they mean?" His voice was low, barely a whisper. She could tell he was trying to piece it together, nerves fraying at the edges. "I don't know," she breathed, "but they came for help." Perhaps Amelia's voice trailed off, uncertainty pooling in her stomach. What if the melody, her melody, wasn't just hers to share? What if it held power she didn't yet understand? The crowd shifted uneasily, and Klein's glare deepened. "Amelia, we can't just stand here. We don't know who these people are. They could be dangerous." A growl rippled through the ranks of the figures, but one stepped forward. This one was different. His face hollowed and gaunt caught the light, revealing more than fear, it showed a kind of vulnerability that pierced Amelia's heart. "Please," he implored, his voice cracking. "We've been lost, starving for something more. For connection. Your song, it calls to us." A shiver coursed through her. Could she provide that connection? As she searched the faces before her, worn and weary from despair, something compelled her to speak. "Then come closer," she called, stepping forward, defying the instinct to retreat. I'll sing for you. But you must promise to listen and trust us. The crowd looked bewildered, mingled terror with hope flickering in their eyes. Klein's hand caught her wrist, pulling her back ever slightly. Amelia, let me do this, she said, her voice stronger than she felt. Angling toward the shadows, she steadied herself. The melody that had haunted her dreams and guided her spirit flowed through her, a strand of hope in the murky unknown. Please, she uttered softly, drawing in a deep breath. Before she could process the moment fully, she began to sing. The notes emerged softly at first, a tender lull that echoed over the chill of the night. As she sang, the vibrancy of the melody filled the empty space between them, weaving itself through the tight knot of dread hanging in the air. Amelia caught a glimpse of Klein's expression, conflicted, concerned, yet curious. The shadows moved closer, drawn in by the sound of her voice. Encouraged, she let the pitch rise, pouring her heart into every note. Almost instantly, the faces of the weary figures shifted. Their eyes glimmered, light battling the lingering shadows of despair. Was it hope blossoming in their hearts? They began to sway, lost in the rhythm, connecting to something deep within themselves, a recollection of a world where music thrived, where pain could be soothed. The edge of fear began to fray, blending with something bright, something shared. But just as the song reached a crescendo, Klein stepped forward, voice booming, "Amelia, stop." Her voice cracked, slicing through the melody. Panic surged as she clutched the silence that followed, her heartbeat echoing in her ears. She looked at Klein, his eyes blazing with fear and protectiveness, but he wasn't looking at her. He faced the strangers. "Why are you really here?" Klein demanded, roaring into the night like a lion. A moment hung in the air, dense with tension. Then, the trembling figure who had first spoken took a cautious step forward. "We came because we were told the song could save us." "What do you mean?" Klein's voice lowered, a mix of anger and trepidation. "We're not just here for the music. We're here because we've lost everything," the figure replied quietly, carrying the weight of the unspoken truth. "And if we don't find it, we'll be left with nothing at all." While the tension churned in the air, Amelia felt a new thread of fear weave through her. If they were searching for salvation, what did that make her? The sudden realization gripped her like an icy hand around her throat. The connection they sought wouldn't come without a cost, hers or theirs. Klein's jaw tightened as he turned towards her, their eyes meeting in a charged moment. What lay ahead? And in that moment of uncertainty, shadows slid back, muttering dark secrets among themselves, revealing a deeper danger lurking just beyond the glow. The quest for music had awoken something else, something darker. What would Amelia sacrifice to protect not just herself, but everyone implicated in this haunting song? And as the line between friendship and enmity blurred, one question loomed in the chilling air: how far would they all go to find the harmony they so desperately craved? A chill crept through the air as the crowd shifted, eyes darting between Klein and the gaunt figure, who stood trembling but resolute. The tension was palpable. Amelia could feel it wrapping around her, constricting her chest. What had she invited upon them? Klein stepped forward, muscles taut, ready to fight if necessary. "You don't even know what you're asking for." His voice trembled, a thin facade of bravery. "What if it damages you?" The gaunt figure shook his head slowly, with an expression that betrayed both fear and desire. "We have nothing left to lose. Our world is falling apart. If your song can help us, we must try." Amelia's heart clenched at the desperation in his eyes. Could her music really hold such power? A force that could mend broken spirits and revive shattered hopes? Or was it just a fool's errand? She drew in a sharp breath. "Then let me help you. But you must tell me everything. Who sent you? What are you really searching for?" The crowd was silent for a moment, absorbing her words. But then, a cacophony of murmurs erupted, the sound of uncertainty, fear, and a hint of hope contagiously flickering. "We were led here by the whispers of the wind," the gaunt man finally replied, his voice breaking again. They say your song holds the memories of the past, the magic of dreams long forgotten. We are the forgotten ones, we have been cast aside by the world beyond these shadows. Amelia hesitated. Forgotten ones? Is that what they call you? Yes, he said, his voice rising, filled with raw emotion. We wander, seeking something to bring us back to life, and your song, it could be our lifeline. Klein's eyes flashed with alarm as he stepped in closer to Amelia. They're asking for something deeper, Amelia. This isn't just music. It's a ritual, a chance to awaken something we can't see. A sudden gust of wind whipped through them, sending a shiver down Amelia's spine. She envisioned the shadows just outside their circle, dark forms, hungry and restless. Maybe it's not just about what I might give them, she whispered, her voice trembling. What if they're tied to something ancient and malevolent? The figure's face fell, the desperation cracking his resolve. We don't seek to harm you. We only wish to feel again. Please sing for us. Klein clenched his fists, torn between protecting Amelia and trusting her instincts. He glanced back at her, searching her eyes for assurance. The connection between them flickered in the air, compassion, fear, and doubt swirling together. Amelia felt the weight of their eyes upon her again, a pleading chorus growing louder in her heart. But could she really cross that line? The gaunt figure stepped closer, desperation radiating from him. You don't understand. Without the song, we'll be trapped forever in this despair. Something inside Amelia snapped. The pit of uncertainty twisted more tightly than ever. She had to make a decision. Either she would take a leap into the unknown or risk leaving these tortured souls to perish in silence. I will sing, she managed to say, her voice steadier than she felt. But you must promise this. If my song brings forth the darkness, you must use it wisely. No harm shall come to us. The crowd seemed to hold its breath, anticipation crackling like static in the air. Klein reached for her hand, an anchor in this storm. Amelia, but before he could finish, the shadows stirred restlessly, retreating briefly before lunging forward, hungry for the connection she was about to conjure. As she began to sing, the air thickened with potency, weaving a web of notes that resonated through the night. Each sound carried weight, binding her, Klein, and the figures surrounding them in a fragile truce. The world beyond began to recede, enveloping them in a haven forged by her voice, but just as the first notes embraced the darkness, a deep rumble echoed through the ground, a twisted harmony echoing back from where she stood. And in that moment of ethereal beauty, the earth beneath their feet trembled, a reminder that nothing given could ever be easily taken back. The shadows stirred more violently, and Amelia knew then she had awakened something profound, and now, the true price remained to be revealed. What would happen next? Would her song save them or unleash a darkness they could never contain? And as the ground shook, she braced herself for what lay ahead. The relentless truth of the song she had started to weave echoed ominously, shattering the night with the promise of deeper conflict yet to come. The moment Amelia's voice filled the air, a cacophony sparked around her. The first note soared out, trembling with anticipation, fluttering like the nervous hearts of those gathered. But as it hung there, the earth beneath them heaved, a sharp contrast to the ethereal lullaby she was weaving. The crowd gasped in unison, and Klein's grip tightened around her hand. Amelia, stop. His voice cut through the melody, urgent and desperate, but she couldn't. The song filled her, and once it was unleashed, she was powerless to hold it back. The figures surrounding her swayed, their eyes wide, pouring out a mixture of hope and trepidation, a plea for salvation wrapped in darkness. As she continued, the shadows flickered like spirits yearning for escape, drawing nearer, their intent barely visible yet undeniably foreboding. A chilling whisper echoed through the air, brushing against Amelia's skin like icy breath. It felt alive, hungry. The gaunt figure stepped further into her light, his own body shimmering like the flicker of a flame. It's working! He shouted, excitement mingling with horror. We can feel it. The song awakens our essence. But what essence? Amelia's heart raced as a different wave of fear washed over her. She had wished for clarity but instead was tangled in uncertainties. Was she really awakening a forgotten spirit, or was this darkness waiting to engulf her all along? As if sensing her hesitation, the shadows lunged forward, writhing in a dark dance that spiraled around them. They flickered like fire, casting twisted shadows against the ground, trying to mold Amelia's song for themselves. A voice called out from within that darkness, a rumbling, ancient sound that sent a chill down her spine. "Join us," it hissed. "Free us." "No!" Klein yelled, panic cutting through his tone. "Don't listen to it, Amelia." The crowd behind them reacted, moving uneasily, whispering among themselves. Amelia could see the spark of fear spread like wildfire, faces paling, hands clenching into fists. They craved change, but at what cost? Amelia's eyes flicked back to the gaunt figure. "Is this what you wanted?" She shouted over her own song. "To awaken something that craves to consume us?" His expression faltered, wavering between longing and desperation. We thought you could bring us back," he pleaded. "But the shadows, they are animated by desire, seeking life. It's the only way we can touch the world again." A massive thrum resonated deep within the earth, and the shadows erupted into chaos. No longer just hungry, they were enraged, clawing at the light, pushing against the melody. The air crackled with unease. "Amelia!" Klein shouted, pulling her backwards, his eyes wide with fear. "We need to end this. Now." But she couldn't stop. The song had taken hold, and the shadows argued, biting at her thoughts, seducing her toward reckless possibilities. The price for the magic they craved was unspoken but palpable. An internal battle unfolded, swirling chaos against the melody that dared to hope. "Break free!" Klein's voice squeezed through the music, his worry cutting through the fog. Her heart raced. The song felt like an unending current, gorgeous yet threatening. She had to make a choice. Would she allow the darkness to take what it sought? Or would she fight back, reclaim her gift, and drown the shadows in silence? In that moment, everything hung in the balance. A decision lay ahead, one that could shatter or save them all. And as the ground quaked violently, Amelia's voice trembled on the cusp of conflict, bursting with a choice that might save or doom them. Would she choose unity among shadows or sever the thread to reclaim her life? Each note became a knife, slicing through the tension, ready to unveil the unraveling of existence itself, and in that harrowing instant, the song started to break, transmuting from light to dark, revealing the real cost of its power. Amelia knew she had opened a door, but one question echoed louder than the clamor: what waited on the other side? The shadows surged closer, a swirling mass of darkness unfurling like smoke, hungry and palpable. Amelia felt it press against her, as if seeking to seep into her very soul. Klein's grip around her hand tightened painfully, his eyes reflecting pure desperation. "You have to fight, Amelia. You can't let them win." But how could she? The melody echoed through her, so intoxicating it clouded her thoughts. There was beauty in it, and yet it was laced with poison. Each note swirled with temptation, whispering of power and ancient truths hidden away in the darkness. She could feel herself slipping, like sand pouring through desperate fingers. As fear gripped her heart, Amelia closed her eyes to gather herself. She remembered the moments before all this laughter, warmth, the love of those who stood with her now. A spark of defiance ignited. She was a conduit of light, not a harbinger of ruin. The shadows shrieked, their voices rising in fervor around her. "Join us, join us!" They called, their tones woven with promises as old as time. Images flashed before her mind's eye, faces she had never seen but felt intertwined with her essence. But just then, she caught a glimpse of herself among them, a mirror to her darker impulses. "No!" she cried, determination booming in her chest. Suddenly, she surged forward, her voice reaching a new height. "I will not be your vessel. I reclaim my song." Her words sliced through the shadows like a sword, scattering some of the darkness just for a moment. But it came rushing back, more furious than before, bearing the weight of countless souls seeking release from their prison. Klein's voice was a lifeline. You have the power, Amelia. Remember why you started singing. It was for hope. His words fueled her resolve, a reminder that the shadows fed not just on her song, but on fear itself. As the ground trembled beneath them, Amelia drew from that deep well of courage. With a breath that felt like fire, Amelia shifted the melody. No longer a soft hum, it burst forth like a beacon, a call to light, a declaration of life. The shadows recoiled as the brightness pierced through, but they were relentless, clawing and pushing against the barrier she formed. The crowd shifted, pulling together, united by her voice. They reached out, hands clasped, and the energy grew. It transformed into a shield, a tangible wave of light cascading from Amelia and sweeping through the gathering. She could see the tension in Klein's face shift to a glimmer of hope, a shared strength among them igniting in response to her song. Together, Klein urged, their eyes locking for a heartbeat. We can do this. Amelia felt their unity swell, a rush of warmth merging with her melody. Yet, the shadows writhed angrily, twisting into shapes of anguish and despair. They were desperate to consume, to drown the light in their void. Emerge! She cried, pouring every ounce of her spirit into the notes. They rallied around her command, infused with the collective heartbeat of those who believed, but then, just as it seemed the tide was shifting, the gaunt figure stepped into view again, his eyes wild. You don't understand. He shouted, voice breaking. They are all that remains. If you banish them, you risk losing everything. The darkness, it cradles the light. Panic erupted in Amelia's chest, uncertainty clawing at her like the shadows clawed at the light. Could she really extinguish the darkness? Was it even possible to save both herself and the innocent lives woven into the shadows? Determination clashed with doubt, and Amelia knew this was the defining moment. The answer could change everything. She could end this, bring light to the darkness, but at what price? And as the shadows roared back, threatening to engulf her and those she loved, Amelia prepared for what was to come. The echoes in her mind drowned her thoughts. What if the true battle was not about banishment but acceptance? What if she had to merge both light and shadow to save them all? Time slipped away as she faced the gaunt figure, ready for the eventual choice ahead. But would she choose to embrace the darkness, or fight it with all she had left? The ground trembled ominously beneath her feet as the shadows loomed larger, challenging the very fabric of her being. What lay ahead was both an abyss and a spark. Would she find a way through? Amelia's heart raced. The shadows roared louder, their desperate cries echoing like lost souls in an endless void. Each pulse of the darkness pounded against her resolve. The gaunt figure's words slithered into her mind, wrapping around her like chains. What if the darkness cradles the light? Klein's hand gripped hers tighter. Don't listen to him, Amelia. Fight it. Remember who you are. But what if he was right? What if the allure of the shadows was a part of her truth? Taking a hesitant breath, she focused on the warmth of Klein's hand, grounding herself. Somehow, she had to find a way to embrace both her light and this darkness, instead of banishing one completely. A blend, she murmured, grappling for clarity as the chaos swirled around her. Is that the answer? The shadows trembled as if sensing her uncertainty, circling her with a seething menace. Accept us. They chanted, their voices rising and falling like waves. You will find power in us. Freedom. Amelia looked over the assembled crowd. They were scared but resolute, their faces set with determination fueled by her melody. She couldn't back down, not now. The darkness would consume them all if she didn't act. The stakes were towering, the choices spiraling in every direction. Hold on. She shouted, tapping into that flickering spark within her. If I'm going to face this, I have to understand it. Klein's brow furrowed. What are you talking about? We need to keep fighting the shadows. No. Amelia countered, voice rising above the chaos. What if fighting them only makes them worse? What if they just want to be acknowledged? The shadows hissed in response, shifting and contorting angrily. They were less threatening now, revealing glimpses of the faces within a collective of lost spirits, caught in the relentless cycle of despair. Amelia felt a pang of sympathy pierce her heart. They were not just darkness, they were echoes of people yearning to be heard, understood. With that realization, a surge of empathy rushed through her. I hear you. She called into the swirling entities, her voice steady. I hear your pain. You were once light as well. The shadows paused, their chaotic howling simmering to silence. It was as if her words had struck a chord deep within the abyss. Amelia pressed on, heart pounding but determined. You're not just monsters. You were loved, seen, and important. You can be part of us without consuming us. Then came a low rumble, reverberating through the ground, shaking the very air around them. The gaunt figure stepped closer, shock written across his face. You can't. You'll destroy them all. What if I don't have to destroy you? She shot back, her voice resonating with newfound strength. What if we can find harmony together? A flicker of hesitation darkened the figure's face just as the shadows began to twist, responding to her honesty and vulnerability. They undulated, shifting their forms like smoke trying to break free, as if awaiting an invitation. Please, Amelia whispered, tears of determination cramming her throat, let us help you find your light again. We can't be whole without you. Together we rise. In that moment, she felt a current of energy shift. Threads of darkness slowly began weaving into her melody. The crowd was spellbound, holding on to every note of her call as an electric thrill pulsed through them all, but just before she could feel the full impact of this shift, a new fissure opened in the shadows, darker than before, and a sinister laughter echoed through the chaos. The gaunt figure's expression flickered with fear and something else, something darker. Too late for that, girl. He sneered as his form began to dissolve into shadow, revealing a void far deeper than any they had faced before. Amelia! Klein cried, pulling her back as the darkness surged forward, threatening to swallow her whole. Her heart sank. Had she made a grave mistake by reaching out? Was the darkness too uncontrollable to embrace? The weight of her choices crashed down, and as the shadows engulfed the ground, she felt the choice narrow to a point. Could light truly coexist with darkness, or had she unleashed her worst fears? Time hung in the balance as the answer loomed. Hope and terror danced delicately at the edge of her perception. What would emerge from the shadows of her own soul? The swarm of shadows felt alive, as if they were pressing closer, eager to devour the remnants of hope clinging to Amelia. Her pulse thundered in her ears, drowning out the chaos. Klein's grip felt like a lifeline, still strong, still real. But as the malevolent laughter echoed, a chill swept through the crowd, chasing the warmth of her resolve. Amelia, we need to go. Now! Klein shouted, his eyes wide with fear. She met his gaze, searching for reassurance, but instead saw panic reflecting back a mirror of her own. Just a little longer. I can feel them. They're in pain, they need to be freed. She shouted her words into the dark, her heart racing with desperation and conviction. Yet, the shadows swirled faster, growing more aggressive, pulsating like a living creature hungry for despair. The laughter grew louder, resonating through her bones. You think you can save them? Look around you. The gaunt figure's voice sliced through the chaos, its tone dripping with mockery. These spirits are beyond saving. They're the remnants of failure and loss, and they will drag you down to despair. She gasped, feeling the weight of each word press against her chest, a cold, suffocating grip. Were they really beyond redemption? With a swift motion, she flicked her wrist, sending a white-hot burst of light from her hand. The shadows recoiled, hissing like snakes. For a fleeting moment, they were pushed back, revealing glimpses of the faces within, contorted and anguished. Each face seemed to whisper untold stories, their eyes pleading for understanding. "Stop. You can't hurt them," Amelia cried, her voice breaking through the din. Everything within her screamed fear, urging her to retreat, to flee, yet she stood rooted, anchored by the pain of those lost souls. "My name is Amelia, and I see you. You are part of me." The shadows paused, their movement faltering as if caught off guard. The crowd watched in a collective breath, tension thick in the air. Could they really connect with the darkness instead of fighting it? Let their pain resonate. She continued, pouring everything she was into her words, let their sorrow rise as a song. You weren't always trapped in sorrow. Remember your moments of joy. Suddenly, the ground shook violently, a rift opening at her feet. Something darker surfaced, smothering her words with its suffocating embrace. It was worse than she had imagined, a chasm of despair she had inadvertently unlocked. The gaunt figure hardened into a monstrous shape, its eyes glinting with a sickly light. "No!" Klein shouted, pulling Amelia back with fierce urgency. "You have to focus. We can't lose you to this madness." But it was too late. The walls of the darkness were closing in, the crowd screamed, panic rippling like a pebble tossed into a pond, each wave threatening to eat them alive. "Keep singing," someone shouted. "Don't stop." Amelia felt the surge of determination wash over her. They hadn't come this far to turn back now. "You want to be heard? Then listen," she yelled, her voice piercing through the chaos. "I want to let you fall without a fight. You will not win." With each word, a stream of light pushed outward from her, illuminating the faces trapped in the shadows. Their pain was real, but so was their light. The shadows shifted uncertainly, some reforming, some trembling with the weight of remembrance, yet, the gaunt figure loomed larger, its laugh now a guttural growl. "Foolish girl. Do you think you can break the bonds of despair? You'll unleash the real darkness." The very fabric of reality around them began to warp, the ground cracking beneath their feet, yanking at her core, pulling her toward the abyss. "Amelia." Klein's voice wrenched her back from her thoughts. "We can't give in. Fight." But as dread settled in the pit of her stomach, her heart began to clench. Didn't he see? This was the reckoning. As the shadows surged, they unraveled, swirling toward her. A choice loomed before her: embrace the chaos or watch it consume everything she loved, and therein lay the question: was she ready to confront the darkness not just to save them, but to save herself? A final wave crashed, and the ground beneath her trembled with anticipation. Amelia took a deep breath, her heart pounding like a war drum. Klein's voice echoed in her mind, "Fight." But what if fighting meant banishing a piece of herself? As shadows writhed around them, she realized they were not just dark entities, they were reflections of unacknowledged emotions, lost moments, and buried fears. "I can't just push you away," she cried, her voice rising above the chaos. "You've lost so much, haven't you?" The shadows hesitated, their swirling forms pausing for just a heartbeat. The gaunt figure stepped closer, eyes glistening with a mix of fury and longing. "You only see what you wish to see. You think compassion is the answer?" The ground cracked louder, the pulsing energy of the darkness growing more insistent, desperate for release and recognition. "Yes," she shouted back, determination ignited within her. "To have light, we must embrace the shadows." The crowd behind her began to move, hands reaching out as they felt the unified pulse of hope rising within Amelia's steady conviction. "Remember your light. Each one of you has a story to tell. Let us share them." With that, she began to sing again, this time weaving the threads of her melody through the stories whispered by the faces hidden in the shadows. The chorus of souls rose, intertwining with her song a rich tapestry of pain, loss, and yet, joy. Each note resonated, revealing fragments of laughter and heartache that had once filled their lives. As the combined energy swept through the night, the shadows began to tremble and sway, losing some of their jagged edges. They were no longer just dark forms, but beings longing to feel again. The gaunt figure faltered, the sinister smile waning as he watched Amelia's embrace of both light and dark. "No. You must resist. They will drown you, consume you." But something in his voice cracked, uncertainty flickering in his cold gaze. Klein moved beside Amelia, an unyielding strength at her side, holding firm against the chaos. "They won't take her, not now. We will fight for our light together." As new strength emerged from unity, Amelia's song surged higher, filled with vitality. "Let us find harmony," she cried. "You are not alone." Suddenly, a wave of energy spread through the group, enveloping the crowd in a golden glow that radiated from Amelia, pulsating with every heartbeat. The shadows began to swirl, becoming less threatening, transforming into whispers rather than roars. But as the connection deepened, the gaunt figure shrieked, rage and desperation unleashing like a thunderstorm. "You're too weak. You cannot save yourselves." But the crowd Amelia's community stood firm, hearts beating as one, unfurling the magic of shared humanity. "Join us." Amelia held out her hand, and in that moment, hope ignited. "Break free from despair. You don't have to suffer alone. Come back to us." The shadows hesitated, pulled between the light of Amelia's persevering resolve and the gaunt figure's frantic darkness. The atmosphere grew thick with tension, but Amelia's voice soared, reaching every corner of the forsaken darkness, urging it to shift. "Feel again," she sang, pouring all of her spirit, all of her light into the air. The power of connection surged forth, flowing from Amelia, Klein, and the entire crowd. The shadows began to dissolve, wrapped in warmth as they embraced their essence. Faces transformed, revealing looks of relief and gratitude. The gaunt figure howled, his form flickering like a flame in the wind. No! But he was losing control. The darkness tumbled away as the light weaved through it, turning fear into strength. With a final burst of energy, Amelia's melody reached its crescendo. The shadows shimmered beautiful, fleeting before dispersing into a multitude of sparks, like stars igniting in the night sky. As silence descended, the air felt lighter, a balm over the raw emotions that had been unleashed. Amelia opened her eyes, looking around at Klein and the crowd, faces glowing with newfound hope. They had faced the darkness and transformed it into something powerful. Klein's hand still held hers tightly. "You did it, Amelia. Together, we did it." Tears brimmed in her eyes, a mixture of relief and exhaustion. "I didn't save them. We found a way to embrace them." And just like that, the first true smile broke across Klein's face, a transformation so profound it felt like a dawn breaking over a long-forgotten horizon. Amelia's heart swelled, she witnessed the weight of 2 decades begin to lift from his shoulders. "Let us carry this moment forward." Amelia turned to the crowd, faces bright, radiating hope. "We are forever changed. We have the power to build a space where both light and dark coexist. A home for all of us." Nods rippled through the crowd, assurance and gratitude mingling together. Laughter and chatter erupted, voices mingling into a symphony that filled the night, just like the haunting song that had set everything in motion. As Amelia stood among her colleagues, now friends, she felt a surge of warmth, a feeling she had never thought she'd witness again: the joy of community, the strength of acceptance. Their corporate fortress would continue to rise, not as a beacon of isolation, but as a symbol of hope, understanding, and the power that lay in finding light within the darkness. And as the city continued to hum outside, ready for new dreams to flicker to life, Amelia knew this was only the beginning. As shadows danced in the moonlight, light flickered within them all, she found her smile at last. You need to subscribe now. Don't miss the next exclusive stories that will leave you on the edge of your seat. Smash that like button now to feed the algorithm and keep the magic alive. And I want to hear from you. Flood the comments with your reactions, your theories about what just happened, and your thoughts on Amelia's journey. This is the moment to show your support. Don't wait even one more second to share this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this conclusion. Let us spread the light together.